Inspiration by Brad. Let's talk a little bit about expectation. If you sit back and think just a little bit in your thought process about all the things that you were expected to do, even growing up, do you think that any of that's had any influence on you? Especially in the growing up process. And why you feel the way you feel sometimes, and why you feel like there's so much pressure on you. Expectations. We all have them. And they shape our lives in ways we don't even realize. From the smallest daily interaction to the biggest life decision that we make in our life. Expectations are constantly influencing your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So let's talk about that and see how they have affected you and me and how we can remedy that. Okay? When we're caught up in expectations, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves and others. You're a parent, you're worried that your children, you want better for your children, so you want things better for them, and so you learn to expect things from them, not realizing that your expectations may not be what your child wants. Have you ever asked your child that? We expect things to turn out a certain way in our life, and when they don't, it's not just disappointing. For some people, that's a game changer. That's a whole game changer. The disappointment, the frustration, and you feel defeated, especially the child. And the child takes that through the rest of their life as they grow up, knowing that they've let down their parent, their caregiver, and most people don't even realize the amount of pressure that they've put on that child. How many times have you thought, if I just work harder, I'll get that promotion, or if I follow this diet, I might finally lose some weight. The expectations for so many things are overwhelming. If you've got a child in athletics, the amount of pressure and the amount of expectations that get put on that child in today's world, they're overwhelming, and it's uncalled for, actually. It's uncalled for. And what a lot of people don't realize is that may be what's actually holding you back and from reaching your full potential, is because you've put expectations on either yourself or on somebody else. Our expectations can be exhausting. They constantly try to live up to them. And when we can't, we feel like we've failed. It's like we're stuck in this never-ending cycle of striving and disappointment. What's even worse is that expectations are based on someone else's standards. I'll guarantee you that if you as a parent think about what you're expected to do, it's based upon what somebody else told you, or how they made you feel. And then you turn around and pass that feeling on, feelings of guilt and wanting your children to be better, or even wanting your employees to be better. That's terrible. That's terrible. I've been guilty of it myself. I've had it happen to me growing up. I know all my brothers and sisters, they all felt disappointed that they could never do enough. And it affected them for the rest of their life. while they were alive. And that's just absolutely terrible that a parent would do that. And I'm speaking out against it. Our expectations aren't just about achieving some type of external success. They affect your mental health and your well-being. If we expect ourselves to be happy all the time, and we're not, then we start feeling guilty and ashamed that we're not. Man, nothing like requirement there, is there? If we expect our relationships to be perfect, when we become critical and there becomes a problem, if you don't talk about it and communicate instead of just expecting it to be better, it ain't going to get better. That's the truth. And that's a fact. It's the constant striving for perfection that can lead to anxiety in our lives, depression, and burnout. Expectations are self-expectations, the ones we place on ourselves. And then there's the social expectations. Oh my goodness. I guess y'all know how I feel about social media, right? Wow. Those are all placed on us by somebody else. You probably don't even know them. And yet you're feeling like you need to accomplish something in order to be like them. What was that great phrase? Be like Mike. Michael Jordan. Be like Mike. Wow. No expectation in that comment, was there? No subliminal message in that piece of marketing, was there? Sold his shoes, bought all his gear. Wow, it was absolutely unbelievable, just that little marketing. Be like. Let's just influence everybody's decisions. When you really break it down, expectations are like a web of standards and judgment. Judgment. And it begins to suffocate you. Isn't that what it feels like? You're being suffocated. Wow. I think a lot about my upbringing, and I sit back and think, there's days that I sit back and think about everyone that I knew that had so many expectations put on them and they couldn't live them. They just couldn't live them. And it demoralized them. It tore them down. It didn't build them up. And we're supposed to be building each other up and making our lives better. What can we take away from all this? First and foremost, we need to recognize the expectations that we put on ourselves and realize that those expectations are actually holding you back. You need to acknowledge them. You need to accept them. And quite honestly, write them down on a piece of paper and take your little matches or your little lighter and burn them up. Let them go. Let them go. It's not about some kind of achievement that you're going to get for perfection. It's about being kind to others, kind to yourself. Be gentle. Be compassionate. You cannot give to someone else what you do not have yourself. And when you have those in your basket of tools that you can use on other people, then bravo, then you go out and you give them away to everybody. It's about creating space for growth, learning, transformation. These are the things that are most important in life when you seriously think about it. So take a moment and do that, please. Join me again on Inspiration by Brad. And let's get inspired, will we? Let's get inspired today. Inspiration by Brad. Subscribe and like. Thanks for being with me.